The distress beacon pulsed through the void, a desperate cry that pierced through subspace like a knife through silk. Elsa stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, her fingers dancing across holographic displays as she traced the signal's origin. The young communications officer had seen plenty of distress calls in her 3 years with the Terran Defense Fleet, but this one was different. This one reeked of desperation. "Captain, I've got confirmation," Elsa announced, her voice steady despite the ice forming in her stomach. "It's the Valorian colony on Kestra 7. They're under attack by the Zinthari Empire." Captain Zia turned from the viewport, his weathered face hardening into something that made even his own crew take a step back. The man had earned his reputation fighting in the border wars, and those who knew him understood that behind his calm exterior lived something primal, something that the galaxy's softer species could never quite comprehend. "How many civilians?" Zia asked. 40,000, sir. Mixed species, Valorians, Kethri, even some gentle ones." Elsa's hands trembled slightly as she pulled up the data. "The Zinthari are demanding complete surrender. They're executing hostages every hour." The bridge fell silent. Everyone present knew what the Zinthari Empire represented, a coalition of species that viewed the galaxy as their birthright, who conquered through overwhelming numbers and ruthless efficiency. They had crushed a dozen civilizations in the past century, and their current expansion had brought them dangerously close to Terran space. "Time to intercept." Zia's question was directed at his navigator. 18 hours at maximum burn, Captain." Zia's jaw clenched. 18 hours. 18 more executions. He looked around his bridge, saw the same fire in every pair of eyes, humans, Deathworlders. The galaxy's anomaly, the species that evolved on a planet so hostile that simply surviving to adulthood was considered an achievement by softer species standards. "Battle stations," Zia commanded, "and send a response to that beacon. Tell them the Terrans are coming." Elsa's fingers flew across her console, encoding the message with the same level of cold precision she'd learned from her captain. As she transmitted, she pulled up the fleet roster. The Indomitable wasn't alone. 3 more Terran destroyers were in range, along with 2 heavy cruisers. Against the Zinthari battle group estimated at 40 ships, it seemed like suicide. But Elsa had learned something in her time among the stars. Humans didn't calculate odds the way other species did. The 18 hours passed in tense preparation. Zia drilled his crew relentlessly, running simulation after simulation. Elsa barely left her station, coordinating with the other ships in their impromptu task force. The Zinthari had numbers, but humans had something else. The instinct of predators who had clawed their way to the top of Earth's food chain. When they dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Kestra system, the sight that greeted them would have made any rational species turn back. The Zinthari fleet was massive, their ships arranged in a perfect defensive formation around the colony world. Sensor data flooded Elsa's screens, battlecruisers, carriers, destroyer screens. 42 ships total. "Captain, they're hailing us," Elsa reported. "They're demanding we withdraw or be destroyed." Zia smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Open a channel. All frequencies, I want everyone to hear this." Elsa nodded, her heart pounding as she patched the communication through. This was it. "Attention Zinthari fleet!" Zia's voice boomed across the void. "This is Captain Zia of the Terran Defense Fleet. You have committed acts of war against civilians under Terran protection. You have one chance to stand down, release all hostages, and withdraw from this system. You have 5 minutes to comply." The response came quickly, filled with clicking laughter. The Zinthari commander's translated words dripped with condescension. "You dare threaten us with 6 ships? We shall add your wreckage to our victory collection, Deathworlder. Your species' reputation means nothing against our numbers." 4 minutes, Zia replied calmly. Elsa watched as the Zinthari fleet began to reposition, clearly preparing to overwhelm them with sheer firepower. Standard galactic military doctrine: surround, swarm, and crush. It worked against every species they'd encountered. But they'd never encountered humans in actual warfare. "Time's up," Zia announced. "All ships execute Protocol Predator." What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The Terran ships didn't arrange themselves in defensive formations. They didn't try to maximize their defensive capabilities. Instead, they split into 3 groups and accelerated toward the Zinthari fleet at speeds that should have been impossible, burning their reactors at levels that made their engineers scream warnings. Elsa coordinated point defense systems as the Indomitable dove into the enemy formation like a shark into a school of fish. The Zinthari had never faced an enemy that used speed and aggression over defense. They had never fought an opponent willing to take damage in exchange for delivering devastating strikes. Human ships were built different. Where other species prioritized shields and armor, humans optimized for firepower and speed. Where others retreated when damaged, humans pressed harder. It was the doctrine of a species that had evolved fighting predators, natural disasters, and each other. The battle lasted 47 minutes. When it ended, 38 Zinthari ships were nothing but expanding debris fields. The remaining 4 had surrendered after watching the Terran ships tear through their fleet with a ferocity that defied all military logic. The Indomitable had taken heavy damage, but she still flew. Elsa coordinated the rescue operations, her voice hoarse as she directed medical teams to the colony's surface. 40,000 civilians were free, though the price had been steep. The Terrans had lost 1 destroyer and over 300 crew members. Captain Zia stood at the viewport watching as rescue shuttles descended to Kestra 7. Elsa approached him quietly. "Sir, we're receiving transmissions from across the sector. The Valorians, the Kethrai, they're all asking the same thing." "What's that?" "They want to know if the Terran Defense Fleet will protect them too." Zia smiled, this time with genuine warmth. "Tell them yes. Tell them that any species that stands against tyranny has Earth at their back." As Elsa returned to her station to relay the message, she understood something profound. The galaxy had spent millennia fearing Deathworlders, calling Earth a nightmare planet that produced monsters. But perhaps she thought the galaxy needed monsters, the kind that protected the innocent and made tyrants afraid. The SOS had reached Deathworlders, and the Zinthari Empire would never be the same.